Duane. Can't pronounce your last name. What is that? Rozak? I don't know, man. I'm an Alabama redneck, public educated, so I'm doing the best I can here. Duane. I'm not really sure what exactly you're trying to get at with your comment there, Duane. I mean, I understand English. Who sold slaves in Africa? Well, that'd be Africans, and the Muslims, the Africans and the Arabs. Who was the first slave owner? That would be what was his name? Last name was Johnson. Anyway, yeah, it was a black dude. You know, the black guy. What skin color eradicated slavery? No skin color eradicated slavery. No skin color did. Skin colors don't eradicate anything. See, skin colors are a chemical reaction when the sunlight interacts with the melanin that human beings have in their skin. And since some people have higher levels of melanin than others, then some people are darker shades than others. You see, but no skin color eradicated slavery. Now, the British passed laws against slavery within the British Empire, and then they went about with their navy. They went about enforcing those laws on an international level. So the British put it into the transatlantic slave trade militarily, the international trading of slaves from one continent to another. But no skin color did that, okay? Because while the British were uh, ended slavery in the United Kingdom, and they stopped the international sale of human beings from one part of the planet to another. While they did do that, I mean, over here in the United States, there were plenty of other white people who were still practicing slavery, you know. And there were still plenty of people in Africa practicing slavery, and there were still people in Asia practicing slavery. But the ones in the U.S. of A. that still had slavery going on, they were mostly white people. They were practicing slavery. So there was no skin color. It wasn't like all of one skin color got together and said, hey, let's end slavery. Didn't happen. So that's one of those, I guess, I don't know. I don't know if that's a poorly worded sentence or if there's something else you are trying to say, because your comment is kind of vague. It's like you don't have the courage to come right out and say what you want to say. Uh, I- I'm I'm assuming that with your name being Duane, that you're male. And I don't know about what males do in your part of the world, but males down here in South Alabama, if they're actually full grown men, patriarchs like myself, they just come on out and say what they intend to communicate. Come right out and say it, man. Women do all this dancing around, this hinting, using nuance and that sort of stuff. Creative wordplay to try to communicate something without actually communicating it. Those are the tools of women. Men built a civilization by letting the yes mean yes and the no mean no, and saying what they mean and meaning what they say, and being prepared to defend what they're saying should they have to. That's how we built civilization. That's how we maintain and protect it even in 2025. But women play these little word games where they're kind of tiptoeing around stuff. So what I'd like for you to do is just come on out, man. Just reach on down there low, grab a hold of them testes if you have them, give them a good squeeze, and say what you're trying to say here. Make your claims, man. Don't word it like this so that if someone goes to, contradict or disprove what you're claiming, well, then you can do like a lot of women do. Well, no, that wasn't what I'm saying, and I didn't say that, and I didn't say this, and then move the goalpost and such as that. Come on out and say what you need to say, man. I mean, if I agree with you, I agree with you. If I don't, I don't. If I agree with part, don't agree with the other part, well, we can talk about both of those. But we're both standing up like men, and we're making our claims, and we're defending our claims. That's what men do. That's how we brought us out of the caves and built homes, and now we have fresh water running to them and electricity and all these sorts of things. We didn't do that by tiptoeing and tap dancing and balleting around with all these choice words so that you're really not saying anything. You see, so that's the tools of women and children. But what skin color eradicated slavery from the majority of the planet? No, there's still plenty of, there's more slavery today on the planet than there was back when slavery was in the United States. And there's still slavery in the United States, by the way, too. The 13th Amendment only abolished slavery in this country for the private citizens. The government, it's still completely legal for the government to practice slavery. The Republican Party with the Union and Abraham Lincoln, they did not emancipate the slaves, and they didn't eradicate slavery. They emancipated some slaves, but not all of them, and they didn't eradicate slavery. They just wanted to be the slave owners. The United States federal government wanted to be the slave owners. So in the 13th Amendment, if you go back and read it, if I had thought about it, I'd have a screenshot ready. I could pop up right over here. But if you'll go back and read it, it says that no man will be required or compelled against his will to do work without just compensation unless he's been convicted of a crime. So people who are incarcerated in the prisons are the slave quarters of today, and they have been since 1865. So we still have slavery in this country that's legal. You just have to be a felon. Now you couple that with the war on drugs and the 3 strikes you're outlaw, and you have a steady flow of slaves from the high school, if they make it that far, to the prison. I'm just telling you the truth, man. You see how I just coming out and I say this stuff? I'm not tiptoeing around asking these vague, open-ended answers. I'm coming questions so that I can avoid accountability like women and children do. Just come on out and say it. So slavery, and that's not even counting the human trafficking that happens on the black market in this country. So nope, no skin color eradicated slavery. I understand that the United Kingdom was the first country to voluntarily end slavery within the empire, and then they went on around the world to stop the international trade of human cargo. But that wasn't as much really the United Kingdom as much as it was the Anglican Church, and then the offshoots from it in England. It was the church that did that. The man who started that, his name was William Wilberforce. That was his name, William Wilberforce. And it was his life's work, and he gave his health for it. It ended up dying because of health problems he had because he worked so hard at that. When he first started off doing it, he was ridiculed and shamed and shunned and scorned. But he did that because of his beliefs being an evangelical Anglican. So you can go look that up if you want to. So that was William Wilberforce, the ending of slavery in England and the ending of transatlantic slavery, shipping human cargoes around. It wasn't a skin color, and it wasn't really a nation in as much as it was a church, the church. The church put an end to slavery in that regard. And of course, people in the United Kingdom who were Anglicans, and some of them were Episcopalians, and of course you had some Presbyterians, and Methodism comes from England, and that kind of stuff. Of course, they use their democratic leverage to use the power of the British government to do that, but that came from the church, man. That came from the church. So majority of the planet, because guess what? That's not explained. It is very explained. This information is readily available. In fact, a lot of misinformation comes out about that, which you've posted here, some of it. So I think that's kind of what they're trying to get at, don't you? But that's not what I'm trying to get at. That's not what I'm trying to get at. And Eric Andrade down here said, I'm pretty sure he's, I don't know what that, I guess it's a typo, calling about these people. I guess, trying to talk about these people. And then he goes into this meme here about the Jews. That is, in fact, not even on the radar of what I'm talking about. Blows my mind how in the last year or so, with the war in Gaza that was going on, that so many people have come out of the woodwork, crawled out from underneath their rocks, that go around taking every opportunity they can to try to say something negative about the Jews. I don't get it, but that's what they're doing. I am most definitely not a Zionist. I am most definitely not in favor of the government of the modern state of Israel. But the Israelis are different than the Israelites of the Bible. It's two different things. So I'm definitely not a defender of Bibi Netanyahu, but I'm nowhere close to this anti-Semitic stuff right here, where we're just gonna. There's nothing on my post that has to do with Jews or slavery. At least not directly slavery, maybe indirectly slavery, but definitely nothing to do about the Jews or some relationship of the Jews and the slaves. Whoever made this meme, and certainly the people who are sharing it, have not done very much actual studying and research on the composition of society prior to 1865. If they had, then they would find out that Jews made up an extremely small minority of Americans in 1865. So I don't know how these people get these numbers about this meme, but just going on the record that my post has absolutely nothing, absolutely nothing. There's nothing to do with Jews or their relation to anything. Nothing. It's just, but racists like this Eric Andrade guy, I guess they take any chance they can to work in racism and, double doubly good if you can work in Jewish racism. So James Pimmon, public school student. Okay, that's all I can tell you. Public school student. I can't pronounce your last name either, James. But James, what do you mean by that comment? It's pretty straightforward, man. It's just like I was telling Duane back here with all his pussyfooting around and tiptoeing and tap dancing like women do with language. Just like I was telling him, that's what women do. I'm not a woman. I'm not just a male. I'm a patriarchist. Ruled by the father. That's a big part of my worldview. So when I say things, it's pretty straightforward. It's going to be direct. It's going to be I'm going to let my yes mean yes and my no mean no. So there's no hidden meaning, James. Stop letting strangers lecture you on your ancestors. It's been very common over the last 20 or 30 years or so where people that don't know you or don't know me or they don't know the individuals that they are lecturing, they don't know anything about them, but they'll look at them and they'll say, oh, well, since you're white, then you're a colonizer. They'll want to call you a colonizer, even though the majority of white people, what's called white people in this country, are descended from people who came over in the different waves of immigration quite some time after this country was founded. So many white people in this country, their ancestors had absolutely nothing to do with the American slave trade. But a lot of people do that. They look at a white guy and they'll think they know about his life, his experience, his parents, his grandparents, his ancestors. They'll think that they can tell what he believes politically and socially and all that sort of stuff. They'll think that they can automatically know what his behavior is going to be and what the behaviors of his ancestors were. This is where this whole idea of white privilege comes from. You see, so what this is saying right here is that those strangers on the internet and on the news that are walking around trying to tell white people that they should be somehow or another ashamed of their past and that they owe some sort of I don't know, penance or reparations or something. They're walking around trying to pass out white guilt just based on the fact that the people were white. And all I'm saying here with this picture, I didn't even make this thing, I found it, okay? Is this picture, as you can see, these folks are living in abject poverty. A lot of my ancestors were like that. I'm Scotch-Irish, okay? So we're talking about going back towards Appalachia, and then from Appalachia back to Ulster County in Ireland, the hillbillies, the rednecks, that settled this country. You can look right there and see that that doesn't look like privilege to me. That gun right there, he's probably using to go, shoot his dinner, that sort of thing. So stop letting strangers who don't even know you try to tell you what your family history is and how your ancestors were and how you somehow or another owe some sort of a penance to society or to immigrants or other minorities or whatever based on this false story that people have cranked up and assigned to try to leverage white guilt. Back during the George Floyd stuff, I had a lot of people ask me, usually white liberals. See, that's a strange thing. It's usually the people who want to leverage white guilt or white themselves, but because they're white liberals. I guess they feel like they've done a sufficient number of acts of penance to be liberated from the white guilt they want to assign to everyone else. But I had a lot of people, usually white liberals, would ask me, "Well, what have you done to help the black man, or what have you done to benefit the black man, or whatever?" And my answer to to those people would always be the same, and that is that I would ask them why they in the world they think that black people even need my help. Because to ask me that question means that they assume in the beginning that black people are weaker than me and somehow or another they need my help or else they're going to forever be in poverty or something. And most people who say those kind of stupid things have zero actual close relationships and friendships with black people. They're just running around, just like the slave owners. They're just running around trying to get their own personal benefits on the backs of black people. But what have you done for the black man? Nothing. I mean, not just because he was a black man, because that's not how I interact with people. That's not how I see people. That's not how I make my decisions. Well, this man's a black man, so I need to do such and such. And besides, man, if that dude needs my help, he is bad off. I'm telling you, because me personally, I think that the black man is inherently just as smart, just as strong, just as honorable as I am. So why in the world does he need my help? You see, that's just the weirdest thing, man. These usually white liberals are running around trying to dish out the white guilt. But I hope that answers your question, James. Duane, stop tiptoeing around what you want to say. Stand up and be a man and make sure what you say is true, because some of that stuff you said there is just warm, piping hot bullshit. And Eric, man, go back under the rock you came from. I'm dang.